Session 4, this is LinkedIn 101 with Kendra Burns. Just want to make sure everybody's in the right room. Okay. Thank you very much. I would just ask, I know after lunch everybody check their cell phones. Can you make sure the ringer's off? Everything's ready to go. And thank you so much to our presenter because they do this for free. They offer their time and skills to share with us so we can grow as a business and people. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm really excited to bring this class to you. LinkedIn has helped me professionally get to where I am today, which is getting opportunities in my email, getting opportunities in LinkedIn messages, and so I'm at the point now where I get to choose what opportunities I'm able to actually have, and that's where it's really hard to get there. However, it is possible, and that's what I wanted to bring to you today was like possibilities, what you can do, how you can achieve your goals. So with LinkedIn, we all have goals in mind, and you are able to navigate it in any way you'd like to get where you want to go in your goals. So today I'm going to give you a step-by-step process. I also have an announcement to make. LinkedIn Premium is now free for spouses for a year, and I went through the MySeco training, Mill Spouse training myself before I took this chance to do the class today, so I understand that they tell you how to use it, and today I'm giving you the opportunity to teach you how to use LinkedIn. So that way you have a little bit of both worlds, having people guide you through it on a computer, but I'm a real living person, so I'm excited to be here today teaching how to use LinkedIn. But definitely look up the opportunity. It's on MySeco. You can log in, create a login, and then go in there and you get LinkedIn Premium for a year for free, and it's about $50 a month usually. There's job opportunities in there. And it's for all spouses now. They just rolled that out, and Natalie Hayek was the one that did she's here today speaking at this conference, and she was the one that was talking about the opportunity in the millspousecommunity.com, where she was writing about the opportunity. It used to be just for if we were PCSing, and I caught the tail end of that because I had just PCSed into Germany, and I didn't get the opportunity to do LinkedIn Premium. I definitely got it today, and it's very handy. So hopefully I can walk you through some of these things today. This presentation will be recorded, so I have a camera, and it's mostly just for my use, so just wanted to let you know. There will be a photo contest during this seminar, so you guys can pull out your phones, take pictures of me. Candid photos are always fun. I have one where I'm like, when I'm presenting, so you are welcome to do that. And what I'll do for you is the top 3 submissions. If you email me the pictures, I will give you a free LinkedIn audit. So I've been learning through 10 years of experience working that if I was paid to tell you what you're doing wrong, I would make a lot of money. I'm really good at auditing, so I do like to let you know how you could use your LinkedIn, and this is an opportunity for me to audit yours if you have one, or I can help you create one today. That's what I was going to do today. Teach you how to create your LinkedIn and also utilize it. So what I really love about LinkedIn is it gives us the capability to communicate with the world at your fingertips. Could they have said that 50 years ago? No. So this is an opportunity for us to reach global communities. Yes, we are overseas, but the best thing you can do when you're working and trying to get a job is get a foot in the door. And sometimes messaging people on LinkedIn is a foot in the door. I've been getting emails to go to different conferences and give this speech to other countries because I messaged people on LinkedIn. So it gives you an opportunity to grow your network. If you give value in what you post in your community, you will get value back. Embrace the change. So yes, social media has pros and cons. It's really hard sometimes when bad things happen, but LinkedIn is also really good. It's a very good change. I'm going to teach more about that today. Ask people to help you. So what I've learned in my self-development, and I'm still young, so I have a long ways to go in my emotional intelligence. However, I have learned that there's knowledge. There's unlimited knowledge. There's unlimited resources. There's unlimited money. We need to ask people for help. That is how you receive. So it's there, but whether we tap into it or not is actually what matters. So ask people to help you. I constantly comment on someone's post and say, hey, I would love to see this. I would love to go here. I've been able to document a building in France because I asked if I could go see that building with that person. And that was an opportunity that I didn't know I had until I asked on LinkedIn. Take criticism. So we all have different things that we could work on. And that's the other thing in emotional intelligence that you can work on. And with LinkedIn, there are sometimes people that will say things, and with Facebook it's more common, we do know this, that people are going to tell you what you could work on. In LinkedIn it's more professional. That's what I really appreciate about this platform, because it is set up to be professional. And so the criticism that we may receive in a message, or if you want someone to audit your platform, I may say, hey, you can take a better photo or get a better photo for your profile photo. That's constructive criticism. It's professional criticism. Be willing to take that no matter what, so that way you can grow as a professional. That's what I've been enjoying about LinkedIn, is just messaging people and saying, hey, what do you think I could work on? So, consistently military spouses reported feelings of loss, uncertain identity, lack of purpose, difficulty establishing and maintaining trusted networks and support systems caused by the rigors of military life. That's directly from the USO. This platform gives us the ability to break that cycle. This is very, very moving. So I am a new military spouse. This is Ramstein's my first duty station, and the mental shift from being an independent woman working, regular jobs to now being a consultant and depending on my husband has been completely different. So all of you in this room have gone through some shift or change to come overseas. This platform gives you the virtual space to bridge that and change that. Rather than obstacles to entry, we need opportunities to enter. LinkedIn gives us the opportunity to enter realms that we have not been before. It's been super exciting. LinkedIn provides opportunities for everyone to be involved. It'll provide a point of entry rather than the many challenges that we go through, obstacles and adversity that we face. So, how have I done this? How have I used LinkedIn? I have found dream influencers on all the social media platforms that I follow. So, Michaela Alexis went from working as a waitress, as a bartender, to now being a social media LinkedIn influencer. When I follow her, she motivates me. When I look at her stories, when I look at her pictures, when I look at her articles that she writes, she gives me new ideas. She challenges me to do new things. So I'm not saying that you guys have to find her, but find someone like her on every platform and do what she's doing, and it's okay to copy. When people copy me, I'm flattered at this point because that's a good thing. If I'm doing something good on LinkedIn and people copy it, I'm not even mad anymore. I'm just like, wow, thank you, that's really flattering. So it's at the point where she's just busting this trail, and she's actually a Canadian, she's from Ottawa, and she's just really been influential and real and authentic. And so I aspire to be like her. She spoke with Gary Vaynerchuk, who's really big in the communications industry, and she's just had all these opportunities come by being herself, being real, and being a really good influencer. So if you guys find someone like her, do that if you can. So here's where we're building our LinkedIn profile. So this is Tanya Wick. She's an executive for Forest Products Association in Canada. And I started messaging her and I said, hey, could I do a LinkedIn audit for you? And so this is the audit process I did in November in order to get to this conference to speak to you today. And so what I circled above here, she's missing a cover photo. So this is what your profile looks like when you don't put a photo. And her head would be just like a gray headshot if she didn't put a headshot in there. So add a cover photo of you in action. So if you look at my cover photo on LinkedIn, it's me speaking to an audience. Your profile photo. This photo should be professional with a hint of personality. So yes, it's a professional platform. However, try to be fun, try to be authentic, but no duck face, no tongue out. Don't do anything ridiculous. However, I think her photo fits her, and it just works. for who she is. She's a vice president of a company and a board member. So the heading with your job. So the arrow I pointed here is at the words that she put down. So she put down keywords that describe what she does in her job, in her company, and who she is as a person. She drives change, she develops people, she progresses performance. So on mine, I have content creator, military spouse, I would do social media influencer on mine if I get to that point. I'm getting there, but it takes time. And so the other thing is, that is what you do when you are in a company or when you're volunteering for an association, a thrift shop, anywhere on base. However, if you do not have a job, so in 2014, I was laid off, I did not have a job, and I used this platform. I built my LinkedIn profile back then. In this heading, when you don't have a job, you can put looking for opportunities, seeking opportunities. You can also put, if you're looking for opportunities, specifically you can put keywords of what those opportunities would look like on your vision board that you created while you were looking for jobs. So looking for opportunities / communications, looking for opportunities / customer service, whatever you're looking to go do, human resources, whatever job you're looking to go do. So this is the summary here. We'll go into depth about that. This is a document that she uploaded to her summary. However, the thumbnail is broken, which she did fix after I audited her profile. So fix your broken thumbnails, because it doesn't help when you don't know what's there, and it could be a pretty image of something, a document or an image, and so she went in and fixed that when I asked her if she could do that. So building your LinkedIn summary, that's what I pointed out. So LinkedIn has an experience section. In your summary, do not list your experience again because it becomes redundant. This summary is a chance for you to tell people what you can do for others. So, it's not about you anymore. That means you can remove I statements. And yes, I'm guilty of I this, I that, I did this, I did that, because I love my gold stars. I get it. But do not repeat your work experience. Change your I statements to future tense on what you're going to do for people. Simple is better. Be thoughtful with spelling. Make sure it's in check. Take the summary and match it with your experience. However, don't repeat your experience.
Can you clarify what the difference for that is, for the summary versus the experience?
Yes. So the summary is a summary of who you are as a person and what you can do for others. The experience is what you've done, and I'm going to do the experience next. So experience. Experience on LinkedIn. We've all heard of the SMART. So the best thing that you can do is list your job, and the company, if your company doesn't have a profile, then the image, so this is my logo. I had to create a company profile on LinkedIn for the image to actually load in. And so a lot of the associations on base may not have a company page yet. And so when you go to put in your spouse's association, it will be blank in the photo section at first, but we can talk to our associations about this and try to get the logo in there because it looks good. But when you work for like the Department of Defense or Army, Air Force, they all have their own logos and symbols that load in because they already have a company profile. So when you list your experience, you want it to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time limited. So what does that mean? We want to be specific. In the sentence, it's really important to put keywords. So when I worked in human resources, there were systems that I operated on to key everything in, to hire and fire people, which was fun. And I was able to actually use acronyms that were meant for that industry. And I'm not a fan of acronyms, however, in this circumstance, it is okay, because what LinkedIn does is when you do the job search section, it actually picks up those acronyms and goes, oh, this is a human resources platform. And then you're able to be more specific that way. Measurable. So if you have a board position in your association or club, you can do measurable things. So you know how many volunteers you had. You know how much money you gave back to the community. Those are measurable things that you can list in your experience. Achievable things. So maybe awards that you were given, things that you had done that someone, gave you kudos for, that you didn't know you were good at, or something like that. Relevant. So if you're going for a position where your experience would be relevant, so if you're in a volunteer position right now, like in an association or you're on a board, then if you're going for something like that on your next space, but it's a professional company that you're going to be working for, you can still list that in this experience section. You don't have to list it in the volunteer section because it's relevant to what you're going to be doing. So I'll talk more about the volunteer experience. Does anyone have any questions on how they can do their experience for a position or a job that they have had? Does this help at all? So you're able to fill that out and get that section simple yet relevant and measurable. So here's the education and volunteer experience. It's okay to list your association or club board experience in the professional experience section, which is not the education and volunteer section, when it's relevant to the job that you want. List the club's memberships that you were or are a part of. And one of the biggest things I want you guys to take home is talk about the impact you have made at that organization or school. So if you were in the PTA and you helped hundreds of kids in a fundraiser get backpacks, school supplies, whatever it is, talk about that. Talk about the people that helped you get that accomplished. Add in measurable results that you were a part of. So how many volunteers did it take? What specifically did you do? What were projects that you had worked on? People actually do look at this kind of stuff. So with my profile being back from 2014 until now, I've actually had people message me and go, wow, you've been volunteering a lot. I said, yes I have. So that's something that is really impactful to people when you may not know it. So on LinkedIn, try not to be vague, because when you're vague, people don't have the opportunity to learn about you or to know specifically what you did in your organization. And yes, you can list multiple. So I've listed since 2000, so yeah, 2000 I've been volunteering. So I've listed Habitat for Humanity, Salvation Army, all the things I've done. So endorsements and recommendations. This is getting to the bottom of our profiles. So people really have to want to learn about you to get to this section. Giving endorsements and recommendations to someone you know is really important, because here's where that value comes in. When you give, people give back. So when you go endorse, so endorsements are super quick and easy, and I'm hoping I have time to go show you these on the platform. But they're super quick and easy when you can go in the endorsement section. So most of my endorsements in the beginning of my career were natural resources, environmental, things that I'd been doing in school, things that I was well known for, and then now it's kind of shifting into the communications, since that's what I've been focusing on. So I have less endorsements for communications, but they're kind of sitting there in the middle, and then once I have a few more years, I'll get more communications to add into the natural resources and things I did in my degree in college. So recommendations, when you give a recommendation, people will want to give you a recommendation back, which is really cool. You can also request a recommendation, so that's really nice. So if you have people that you've worked with directly on a project, or people who know you in the professional life, or whatever you've done in your organization, you can ask them. So in my business, the biggest thing that I've noticed is that when people give testimony, utilize that testimony to tell people what you're capable of or what you can do. That's the same thing here. The snowball effect comes into play, and they end up doing it for you. So the more you get on your profile, the more people will get to know you, because you put all the information there. And yes, it is a lot of information. However, there are people that are willing to read through it if they want to hire you. So I thank you all today for the LinkedIn class, and hoping I can get on there and show you some of the tricks that I've talked about. So yeah, any questions so far?
How would you go about asking someone to recommend you, or
vouch for you, basically? Like, how do you approach that?
So how do you approach requesting a recommendation? The first thing I do, if I have a personal email, I would actually email them first and say, hey, I have LinkedIn, I just got on LinkedIn, I'd love for you to recommend me. But there's also a button on LinkedIn that already is automated that will ask them to send you a recommendation. So if they're your friend though, I would ask them in person. If you're professional, I'd ask them an email and say, hey, can you recommend me?
Do you think it's appropriate to ask a previous boss?
Yes, it is, definitely. So I have worked on different projects in different organizations, and there are bosses that I've asked recently. So I have bosses in the States that have basically like said, Kendra's amazing because she's still doing everything, but she's overseas, and they've recommended me for certain projects, but they're my boss. So it depends on your relationship, but yes, I do agree with the fact that if you've done really good work and you guys had a great mutual relationship, that it would be appropriate. So let's see if I can get on.
We have a question. So just one thing I wanted to add to the signing in, if you sign up for the premium LinkedIn, in addition to job opportunities, they also have some really great training, that proprietary training, like to teach you how to code, to teach you how to use LinkedIn, to teach you how to, like a lot of really great tutorials that you would have to pay for otherwise that are available through that access. And also we just started our AWAG leadership LinkedIn page. So feel free to connect with that. So if you do sign on your own LinkedIn page and you want to say you were a speaker or came to this conference, you would get actually a populated icon now because we have a LinkedIn page, so you can link to us at AWAG leadership.
Veterans get it free as well, I think, right? So
They just enacted the veterans and spouses for free, LinkedIn Premium. So in order to get that, you go through MySeco, and it's a mill learning platform.
It's military one source.
Military One Source. Yeah, it's
It's
education
And
part.
career, and career, education and career.
Education and career
Online or something.
online.
Education and career opportunities.
Yeah. And, no, they just enacted the fact. So their original thinking was, oh, you're PCSing, you may need LinkedIn Premium. Well, oh, sorry.
1 year or the whole?
For military spouses and veterans, you can get LinkedIn Premium for a year. Yeah, and they just enacted that. So I think they found out that not as many people got it. So I also read a statistic that when they did enact that last year, that only 2,000 people signed up. That's not very many.
So, but here's the question, like, as we all move constantly,
Right.
1 year is not enough.
No.
So, I'm not gonna pay $50 a month once that year's over. What's the option then? Like, can you go to a non-premium version for
Yes.
less money, or like, what's the breakdown on that?
Yeah, so once you get the LinkedIn Premium through the Mill Learning platform, the best thing to do is to go on there and, like she said, take all the courses that are relevant to what you want to go into or what you want to do. So for me, I haven't gone to, and I just learned of this before I made this presentation, so that's why I haven't expanded on it yet. And so for me, I would go in there and look for digital marketing courses. Michaela, my influencer, she actually has like video creation courses in there, and I've known about them, but I haven't been able to access them because I didn't have LinkedIn Premium. So when you're in there for the year, it is correct that we're moving, and I'll need it again probably down the road. Take the opportunity in that year to educate and go in for the career resources and the job searching opportunities. And then once that's over, I've only ever known the LinkedIn for free, and it's still very, very worth it. And I'm able to, I get searched randomly. I get a notification saying, you've showed up in 50 searches this month, and I'm like, who's searching me? And that's the thing, that whenever I go to a conference or whenever I ask to be a part of something, I always see the board members and the executives eyeing me and like looking at my LinkedIn profile before I even get to the conference, but I do the same thing. So here's another tip since we still have time. Before you come to these conferences, no matter where it is, no matter what niche it's in, look up people before you go to the conference on their website and look to see if they have a LinkedIn profile, and then message them. So David Murphy is speaking, and he messaged me directly. He's like, hey, fellow speaker. And I'm like, hi. So that was really cool to have that. And I did that last year. I went to Poland and I spoke at a conference, and I added as many people as I could. And then by the time I was speaking and my speech was over, people were like, yeah, we already knew you from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity to really give your personality and put in your professional flair of what you're all about, what you've done, and then that way they can see who you are. And then when you show up in person, you're like, hi, this is what I look like, but now they know part of you before they see you, which hasn't been done the past 20 years. You haven't been able to do this. And especially while moving, I think it's a chance for us, like I said in the beginning, to start to bridge some of these gaps that we have to actually overcome the adversity that we face. So, yes.
I want to add to that. I use that technique when I job interview. Matter of fact, I job interviewed here at Garmisch, and I looked up the board members, and I walked in the first day before the guy had introduced himself. I said, hi, John, and I could see him like, that may have been a little bit overboard. I don't know. When they were talking to me, I knew their background, and I kind of knew where their questions were going to go based on their background. It worked super well, so add that to job interviews as well.
Did you get the job?
No. When they found out I lived in Stuttgart and I wasn't going to leave my family to come to Garmisch, they were less impressed. But the interview went great.
But they do get a message saying you looked at their profile.
Right.
That I did the same thing with the
Yeah.
director that I interviewed for, but I did get hired.
Yeah.
But I thought when I saw that she could see that I looked at her, I panicked. I was like, oh no, she knows that I'm looking at her profile.
I think that's good. I mean,
It's due diligence.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, it's so what social media is doing is it's forcing us to become transparent, whether we like it or not. And I, as a millennial, am seeing it as a good thing, but I do, as a social media manager and consultant, I do tell my clients of the risk because I want them to know. And reputation management is something that I offer because, like I said, when we're getting into the weeds of trying to tell someone, when I'm auditing someone's profile, I don't want to come across as, hey, you suck, or, that doesn't look good, or, whatever. But I tell people in my email, as a professional, I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to be honest, but I'm not going to be so honest, I have to walk that fine line. So some of the adversity that I faced, and the reason why I used LinkedIn in 2014 was I went out of my bachelor's degree and I had no job in that field to go into. I applied for 50 jobs, old school with resumes, and got nothing because they wanted 1 to 2 years experience, but I had just gone to college for 5 years. And the only experience I had was internships that didn't go into the further than 6 months, so I needed that year. And so there were several jobs I applied for at the state level and after working in human resources before I left the States, I do understand now, if you aren't qualified and if you don't have that full year experience, in HR, there's some risk that comes with that. So I understood why I didn't get a few jobs I applied for because I didn't have the experience. Once I got the experience, I was like, okay, I understand now. So as a college graduate, it's really, really hard. Also, as a returning stay-at-home mom, returning to work, it's really hard because they look at that gap. But if you can show that you worked in that thrift shop, you worked as a board member, you worked and you were busy on that base, then this is our opportunity to really, really impress people and say, hey, I did due diligence on my base and I want to return to work and, continue to do whatever it is that you're willing to do, whether you're being a nurse, whether you want to work back in customer service, whether you want to be a coder. Whatever you want to do, it's possible, and LinkedIn is definitely a place to start. So, is there anyone that doesn't have LinkedIn that is confused?
I'm not confused, I don't have it.
Are you looking to get it?
No, you know what, LinkedIn became a real big thing when I got out of college, and I remember getting a bunch of be my LinkedIn, I'm connected. I was like, just delete. Deleted them all. I was like, what's LinkedIn? Stupid.
Well,
and clearly it was not the case.
yeah, so as far as building a network, I had the same question when I entered the conference. And so, to your point, you can actually add people that you want to add that you know, people that are in your first little circle. So my circle has gotten global, which is crazy. I didn't even imagine this happening, but it is now. So I went from my community in Washington State. And then I started adding more and more and more. And it's first degree, second degree. I'm not talking about murder or homicide or anything. I'm talking about real connections here. So people that you know in your community, people that have worked for you, people that have worked for them, people that are in their circle. So that's really important. So that would help a lot. And then once you get the second degree connections, then your third degree connections turn into second degree, and then you don't have to worry about that as much. And so for me, I'm getting a mix of both my niche. So I'm niched into forestry because that's what I went to school for, and then now I'm niching into the milspouse world, and I'm connected to like Natalie Hayek and Jamie Chapman, she's sitting back there, and people that have founded programs, national programs. And it's really, really nice to see the community coming together, and you can do that on LinkedIn no matter where you are now, which is really cool. So you can also leverage some of the groups and the communities within LinkedIn, and I would advise to find people that are like you or people that you want to work with. So if you're trying to build a home business, Jamie is going to be talking about that. You want to join groups that are in that same realm, and they're going through the same struggles. They're facing the same adversity. It's really nice to have those groups, and so Facebook has those groups. LinkedIn is starting to get those groups, and that way you can really bounce your ideas and figure out. Except for it's on the computer. It's not, like in this setting. So yeah, so that's really what I've used it for, and now I get speaking opportunities across the globe, and I've just been really honored and excited. And I come from a small town, low income, just, a lot of stuff that my family hasn't done. So does anyone have any more transitioning questions about their transition or what they could utilize your LinkedIn for specifically while we're here?
Comment. I just want to say LinkedIn is an incredible tool, but if you let it collect cobwebs, it's not going to do anything for you. The point of it is activity. And so let's just pretend Jamie Chapman likes one of Kendra Burns' posts. All of her people see my name. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so the more active, the more likes, the more shares, the more comments, the more articles that you write, the more those first and second and third degree connections are seeing your name. That makes sense. And so it's great if you set it up and make it look nice like a landing page or something like that for yourself, but it's even better if you actually use it a lot. So I schedule time out and just get on LinkedIn and start posting and liking and everything because it brings a lot of foot traffic to my account.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I average 2,000 visitors a month or something to my LinkedIn just because I'm active. And so it's just, my thing is don't let it collect cobwebs.
Yeah, I go and like things every day on it, and then I comment when I see something that I could potentially be interested in, and then messaging comes and goes in waves, but that's, when you get someone in a message, that's really a lead. That's something that you can take and go, oh my gosh, they're interested, and I get like butterflies in my stomach when someone is new, or like when David Murphy from the conference was like, hey, I'll see you there. I'm like, oh my goodness, I haven't met you yet, but I will. I'll come shake your hand. So, and how are we doing on time?
You still have 15 minutes.
15 minutes, okay.
Would you say that it's better to have a basic LinkedIn account or not have one at all? Like if you just have basic information in there and you're not really using it, is it better just not to have it?
So for some reason, I've noticed through my auditing that LinkedIn kind of picks up your information from the internet and creates that basic profile for you, which is creepy and like, okay. So it's actually better to build your own profile so you give it your personality and your flair, and that would be a lot better. So let's see. I do have.
See it.
So the internet isn't working. I was going to go and I asked if we might be able to get on it. It looks like it's not great. I really wanted to show you guys live examples of walking through LinkedIn with me. So I'm
Try it,
hoping.
see what happens.
I don't want it to be in German. Yeah, I asked about the Wi-Fi and it's not great. But so I guess we'll talk more about the professional line in LinkedIn and how you don't want to give, it's like anything, you don't want to give too much information, but you also don't want to not give enough to show who you are as a person. In my summary, I talk about engaging communities, helping people engage. I also list what I'm doing. So on the summary portion, that tagline, if you're going to go do something, so like for this conference, I said, teaching classes at Edelweiss, and then I have my regular tagline after that. So you can really get people interested, and what that does for me is when I get contacted and messaged by someone who is in Portland, they're like, hey Kendra, looks great, you're in Edelweiss this week, and yeah, I'm in Edelweiss, and they'll be like, oh, do you want to go to our conference in 6 months, or whatever it is. So it kind of gives you a talking point, and that way you can really show what you're doing. So I think it's in English now. Yes?
So, upon getting to Stuttgart, they brought us all into a room and sat us down and gave us a really big, go wipe your social media of all things military speech. Like, so how does that, like, I still live that life. If you go to my page, there's nothing military on there. There's no pictures of my husband in uniform. Like, we wiped everything clean of all things military while stationed overseas.
Okay.
Like, is that ever a concern with LinkedIn?
For me, my husband and I don't go out, and we didn't even in the States. He doesn't wear his uniform, so I vowed when I was in this military dating world to see them as a person no matter what uniform they wear. So that's something that I always say and carry, and to not have the military experience is probably the best, and to not, so when you're giving out the military experience, to give the information that you're allowed to, but just enough.
But if you're told to leave it all out, how do you leave it all out when you've been working on bases and volunteering at nothing but bases for the last 17 years?
I deal with this a lot, just to chime
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Like I get a lot of foot traffic to my LinkedIn, and it's very gung-ho, military spouse, I served in the Army, all of that. I get a lot of international connection requests that I have to just ignore. They're gonna see your stuff, because it's like LinkedIn doesn't, you can lock down your settings and stuff like that and make it private, but the more you like and the more you share and the more active you are on it, people are gonna see it. So you have to just be cognizant of those funny looking requests, and you have to be careful. Obviously no OPSEC, don't post, you know, I'm gonna be here eating lunch at X, Y, and Z time tomorrow, please come over, and you know, obviously be cognizant of OPSEC, but they're gonna pick up on it. You know, if you're in the military communities and you say that you work for the Department of Defense in the U.S. Army as one of your old jobs, they're gonna find it anyway. You know, so just don't post.
Right,
your secret.
I think what maybe what you were trying to say, and I know I am trying to, like, because of what my husband does, I don't think I can have it. Like, I can't have all that stuff on there, it can't be out there.
We just don't take pictures in uniform at all.
Yeah, I mean, but putting my experience over where I've been for the past
Yeah.
10 years especially,
Yeah.
very obvious what's going on, like, it can't be on there, unfortunately. Maybe later.
Yeah. So I am working to learn more of that, and that's something that hopefully I can be more scripted and more experienced in. Right now, I'm just giving you the basic what you can do right now. And I come from state government, so the SMART goals is what I've been told to do in your experience. So this is the profile. So you can go in and request 10? Okay, 10 minutes, and we're up here. So here's a little tour, if you haven't been on it in a while. I list what I'm doing, groups, companies, hashtags. So I'm going to go request, actually I know someone that I've worked with that I want to request a LinkedIn, he's given me testimony, but I want to request a LinkedIn testimony from him. And I thought about this when I was going to, so this is how you request. You go to their profile, and welcome to German internet. Less than conducive. So you go to someone's profile, and then in their profile, there's a place here, hopefully it will pull up soon. Here we go. So, in order to request a recommendation, go to More. On someone else's profile. This laptop is sensitive, sorry guys. And you can request a recommendation here. So, the scroll bar isn't working great. Here we go. So, what does it look like? My relationship with this person is that I work for him. We mentor each other. I've worked for him. And I was a communications consultant when I worked for him. So he already gave me a testimony on my website, but can you please insert it into LinkedIn? And it's spelled, LinkedIn or LinkedIn. Oh, missing a D. Link, ed, in. LinkedIn. There we go. We're very happy when we work together, so that is how you request a recommendation to someone that you know or that you've worked with. But I first email people and ask for recommendations. So let's go into the profile a bit deeper. So I have all these taglines, and I use hashtags because I'm a millennial, sorry. But it's something that I'm getting used to here. So the photo was me speaking in Poland to international foresters. Sorry about this. The last time I wrote an article was in March, so I'm due to write once a month is a good article writing frequency, and then don't get yourself hung up on having to do it. So I'm one of those introverts that if I have a to-do list a mile long, I'd just rather sit on the couch. Like, I have to do things by little, or else I get overwhelmed. So I have to start small and then grow and do more things. So as a communications consultant, I do small projects and kind of catch up that way. And people are like, let's do a weekly video, or and I'm like, I love that enthusiasm, but I don't know if I can commit to a weekly video at this time. And then we work out what we can do together if I'm collaborating with someone. So collaboration is also pretty huge. So This is the certificate, yes.
Do you cross post to maybe in that like Facebook or Instagram or on your website? You said you have a website.
Yes, so that's a great question. I'll teach that tomorrow. I do a scheduling platform, so I'm able to actually post everything on all my platforms at one time, and I do that. And then I do specifically go in and do more professional, and I kind of cater it to the platform that it's going to, whether it be using hashtags or tags, because in Instagram you can use 30 hashtags, and LinkedIn, they just got hashtags as a thing a few years ago. You might want to use one or two. Same with Facebook. You might want to use one or two. Don't go crazy on hashtags on Facebook. So I don't copy and paste in my scheduling platform. I go in, cater it to whatever's going on or whoever I'm talking to. Your audience is huge as well, whoever you're talking to.
What is your class tomorrow looking like? Like, what exactly is it? More LinkedIn?
No, I separated LinkedIn out because that was, to me, in military spouse land, very useful for us to use. And so I'm actually doing Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter tomorrow at the same time. So for measurable results, when I'm a social media manager, I grow pages. So I put in the 1.7 thousand followers and what I'm doing. So I'm developing innovative and creative media content across the social media platforms. When I was a human resources consultant, I put in NeoGov, and you guys are used to USA Jobs. I put in some of the different software programs that I used, my Gold Star Award, I love those. So here's a company I worked for, what I was talking about earlier. They don't have a company page. So this is what it looks like. But if you do have a company page, you end up getting this nice pretty image with your thumbnail in it. So I was the kind of person when I was going through college that I got every job I could just to get out of being low income. So I do have like 10 jobs. And so this is how I summarized what I did. So this is the experience that I put in. And then when it comes to your education, talk about your degree, majors and minors, and your activities that you were involved in, clubs that you were in. I didn't go into detail about that because my experience, I still work for Society of American Foresters. And then here's volunteer. So here's my AWIG volunteer. But the cool thing about AWIG is that if you do, I was a seminar assistant and now being a speaker, this experience, if I want to do more of this in the future, I may be able to move this into my professional experience if I'm going for a job that is relevant, if that makes sense. So, yes.
You can temporarily move it over
To the professional experience.
side?
Yeah.
And does it look like you moved it over? Or does it show that you, like activity on that?
No, there would be no difference. It doesn't show, when you build your profile, it doesn't show what you put in your experience and when.
You can move as many times as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
So for old AWAG, that one is to a broken webpage. So
okay. Thank
I'll send
you.
the link to, and I'll invite you to the new page. We just this week updated it, so.
Okay. So yes, that is that. And then so now endorsements. So remember how I said it was really easy. So when I'm giving endorsements to someone else, it will actually, if you go into the profile like I was just in my friend's profile, you can go in and just click the button. So natural resource management, whatever it is, it'll have a plus sign next to it, and you can just go add that, add new skill. And so these are different skill sets that, I mean, if you have 10 years of experience, you may have a lot to put in, but that's okay. So then, giving and receiving recommendations. I've given more than I've received, which for me is okay. Here's a recommendation request. I don't remember. So this is a group that I'm involved in on Facebook, and he asked me to write a request about it, but I haven't been in the weeds in that group yet enough, so I haven't written a recommendation yet. So you can totally just like leave these requests and not do it. This is all up to you guys. It's all your flexibility. But what I would want you guys to do is to think about your professional experience. However, give it a bit of personality, Because when I did the LinkedIn Premium training, it was like very military. This is how it should be, this is how you should do this is when you do this. But I'm here telling you today, show your personality. Just like have fun, be cool. You can even put, quotes in here, do some fun things that kind of show off what you value and how you value things. So then the never-ending notifications, they're always here. So I post, I'll be speaking in Yosemite, so I'm super excited, so I posted about that. And just keep on talking about what you're up to, what you're doing, even if it's personal, and just try to keep it professional on this platform. That's what I love about this platform. And I've had no issues from any different people. I've never had any reputation to worry about or anything. I've just been myself, and that's what you guys can do too. So, yeah.
Thank you. So nice to meet you.
Yes.
There you go. On behalf of the
Oh, thank you.
And you have about 20 minutes until your next class. And please, if you're leaving for the day, if you take out your cups and trash and
Yes, nice to meet you.
And I mean, it's one it's like, they're just tired for them to but I just sent her husband.